Hi everyone, my name is Juan. I'm a former student from SVP, and today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my master's journey. Currently, I'm doing my master's program at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm currently studying data science in computational linguistics. And yeah, so I think I'll start off with mentioning a little bit about why I applied for grad school. So I did my undergraduate degree in the States at the University of Michigan studying linguistics, and towards the end of my senior year of college, I kind of realized that if I wanted to pursue a career in linguistics, I would have to eventually, do a master's or a PhD, like some type of grad school. So when it came time to searching for actual master's program, I tried to utilize a lot of different resources. I definitely consulted with my former professors from my undergraduate and asked them if they knew of any programs that aligned with what I wanted to do, which was things related to linguistics, math, and education and technology and stuff like that. That was a big thing. I also considered the cost, and the costs sometimes are correlated or come together with location. So typically in the US, master's degree are very expensive. So it didn't seem worth it to me to apply there. Instead, I opt for Canada, or I looked for programs in Europe just because it was more cost effective. And of course, you have to think about not just the cost, but also what you get in return. So I was thinking about the job prospects and stuff, because when you're applying for a grad degree or a master's degree specifically, there are different types of master's degree. There's a thesis-based master's degree, and there's a non-thesis-based master's degree, which is usually a professional degree, like an MBA. And my current program right now is a professional degree where we don't really have a thesis, but we have a capstone project, this final project that we do. And I think that helped, or that will help being able to secure a job after my program, because you do need to think about, realistically, where is this degree going to get you? What options are going to be made available to you once you have the degree? So definitely think about those things, those return in investments, basically. I also considered university reputation, just because when you're going to a foreign country, your leg up would be that university, whatever university you went to, because you haven't really had a support system yet. So it makes sense that you want to try to make use of the name or a reputation of the university, because that will also make it easier for you to secure a job there if you need to. That being said, it wasn't the end-all be-all of how I go about things, because reputation became less of a thing for me compared to my undergraduate, and I cared more about what the program had to offer, and the program itself, whether it aligned with what I wanted to do. And yeah, this program did, fortunately enough. So yeah, but this type of research, requires you to actually visit their websites, look through their program. Sometimes they would even have statistics about where their graduates end up. And you can also even connect with those alums and ask them hey, what did you think about the program? What did you like about it? What did you feel you get out of it? And also going through LinkedIn, seeing where they work at now is also a great idea. So I did try to reach out to some of the former alums of whatever program I was interested in. So when it came to the application process, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's not that much different from what you would do in your for your undergrad. You have your letter of recommendations, your English exam scores, your transcript, and maybe a statement of purpose. If you're doing it again, if you're doing a thesis-based master's, they're probably going to ask you about what your research proposal is about. Essentially, it's they're trying to see if you're a good fit, right? But if you're applying for just a professional degree and stuff like that, it might not necessarily be the research, but maybe like what type of work you're interested in to go into after after graduating. So I think that's one of the things that you need to consider. I'd say the most challenging thing is not necessarily this, like applying to your school. It's actually applying for your visa. I think that's something that you actually need to worry about even more, because you want to make sure everything's right. You want to get the right documents and stuff. And with the current state of the world right now, with people tightening up, immigration, not even immigration, but like student status and stuff, it's important for you to have ample time to work on your visa. So that was the most challenging thing for me, and that's why I also considered like early decision admissions whenever possible, because if I know the decision early, I can prepare better for my visa. And during this process too, if you do get in and you need to start making your visa and stuff like that, try to see if they have resources for it, because usually once you're a prospective student and once you've accepted your acceptance your acceptance decision, you sometimes have access to their resources already. So like, if they have some international advisors that can help you with visa stuff, definitely consult them. And then, of course, there's a financial aspect of it, the financial planning and maybe even scholarships. Fortunately enough, my program did have scholarships made available for international students. This was listed in their website and stuff, and so I did apply for it and I did get it, fortunately enough. So that helped with alleviating the costs of attending the university, but also I also got guaranteed housing. And this is something you need to think about too, because sometimes living on campus might be more expensive than actually living off campus, and sometimes it's the other way around. So in my undergraduate degree, living off campus was definitely cheaper, but this time around living on campus was actually way cheaper than living off campus. So I got not a major stipend, but it definitely reduced a lot of the cost of housing. Another thing, I guess one tip for securing scholarships is that you want to be clear with whatever it is you want to do. Sometimes if you go for the merit-based scholarships, obviously you want to show your merit, but you need to build a profile for yourself, your own case of this is the kind of person that the university would be getting if they accept you. So what I mean by build a profile is you want to have sort of a theme to your application. You don't want to seem like you're all over the place, you're trying all these things out, they don't want that. They want someone where that seemed like they're pretty consistent with what they want, because that would reassure them that this is the right path for you. I did help some friends go through the LPDP process, and that's what I also noticed, is that they want people who have a good understanding and idea of what they want. So of course, when you move to a new country, there's a lot of adjustments that you would have to face. There's the cultural adjustment and academic adjustment, but also a completely new environment, a completely new governmental system, and sometimes it can be interesting, in terms of how you navigate that process. So I'd say culturally, moving to Canada wasn't too difficult because I've lived in States before, so I kind of understand the whole North American culture and can, adjust relatively easily. The only thing I think is different between Canadians and Americans is more so their mindset and also their political system. From the day to day, it's not that different. I think what's difficult about moving to Canada was just getting used to the how things work here, in terms of you're getting your healthcare and getting even a bank account. It's pretty different than in Indonesia or in the States. Sending money can be a little bit of a hassle from Indonesia to Canada. So you need to figure out how that works to whatever country you end up in. Healthcare in Canada is free, it's universal. I mean, you still have to pay as an international student because you're not a resident. You're only a temporary resident in some cases. So you still have to pay in it, but it's definitely cheap or cheaper than the States. And though like the process can be extenuous, I don't know, like it can be a bit difficult getting actual healthcare in Canada. So that's something that you might need to consider. Aside from that, I think there was also an academic adjustment. Not so much because like Canada is different to the US or anything in their academics. It's more so because now you're in grad school and your professors treat you as their peers. So like you have more time essentially with them. They'll be more open to whatever it is that you need to succeed. That wasn't the case for your undergrad. Oftentimes you're left to your own devices in your undergrad and you kind of just have to roll with the punches. Here, no, it's like you get to advocate for yourself even more and really communicate what you need, essentially. So that was nice. But also, like, grad school is way more challenging than I expected it to be. I thought it would be like, on par with the amount of work that you would get in your undergrad, but that's not really the case. There's a lot more work to be done in your during your grad degree. So yeah, but that's also because like I'm doing a 10-month program, so it's an accelerated master's program because master's program typically are 2 years long. So that might also be the case. So yeah, if you're considering on saving up money too, you can also consider the length of your master's program, because there are some master's programs that are a year long like mine, but there's also like master's programs that are 2 years or even 3 years long if you do like research and course base. So it really depends on the program itself. That's why you need to actually understand the fine prints and like what your program actually requires you to do. You also need to adjust to or get a new support system, of course, because like a lot of your support system is like hundreds of miles away and hundreds of thousands of miles away. So it's important for you to build a community fast and do it within the first few months of attending, your university, because everyone's there trying to make friends. Make friends outside of your program too, because otherwise you'd just be talking about schoolwork all the time and it can be a bit stressful. So like find some activities to do outside of school. Like I do quite a bit of dancing, salsa and bachata, so that's been nice. And I've been able to form communities that way. So of course now there's the question of how SVP has shaped me. I think one of the best ways SVP has shaped me is that they've given me that growth mindset of just being able to persevere and see myself as a lifelong learner. And you might find it cliche, but to be honest, like not a lot of people abide by that kind of like mindset. It's definitely a unique one to have, and it really takes you a long way. I think a lot of people struggle and they give up too early in the game, and they don't really think about like, if you really want something, it's gonna be, you're just gonna have to go through it. It's gonna suck at times, but at the end of the day, you're making steps towards that progress, whether it's big or small at each step of the day. At each step you're like learning, you're evolving. And I've noticed that that's not a mindset that everyone has. So that's one thing I'm grateful SVP has taught me. I was also a teacher at SVP, so that also gave me a fresh perspective of life, I think, and it was a full circle moment, and I get to understand, what goes behind the curtain. teaching at SVP really also helped me get out of my shell because for one thing, I'm pretty nervous when it comes to being on stage. I get stage fright, and when you're like teaching all the time every day, and even having to like you stand up in front of the Martel Hall and like talk to hundreds of students and stuff, you get adjusted pretty quickly. And so I think it really taught me to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And that's really what you need when you're in grad school, because you're going to be uncomfortable the whole time, because you're always going to be questioning yourself, like whether or not you know the things that you know. Yeah, so that's the one thing I'm grateful for. I think working at SVP2 really solidified my desire to build a career surrounding education, or like relating to education in some way, shape, or form. It's not necessarily through teaching, but through other means, like developing resources for students and stuff like that, through the use of, machine learning and technology and all that stuff. And I think a core memory I got from SVP, or I have from SVP, is actually during my last year, or during my last day of teaching, my students gathered around and sang me a song like in the voodoo, and that got me emotional. That was great. I still think about it to this day. I love my students. The great thing about SVP is just how close-knit of a community it is, despite being actually a pretty big school. I think the best thing you can do for yourself is to network. And I think a lot of people go about it wrong, in a sense that they see it more as a transactional thing. Like, you go to like a mixer and you kind of like make friends, or you make acquaintances, but you don't, that's not enough. I think how I see network is that your network is your group of friends, and your friends aren't necessarily always going to be your close personal friends, but it can be your work friends, it can be your gym friends, your career friends. It's really about building strong relationships with other people, such that they would advocate for you in rooms that you're not in, and vouch for you when you're trying to do something. Basically, that's how I see networking as. So make it less transactional, make it more about actually being friendly with people and making friends, because again, like, you don't just advocate for some random stranger, you advocate for your friends. So that's how I see it, and I think that's a good idea of how people should see it as well. The last thing I'd say, as kind of like a send-off message, is realize that you've gone through your undergraduate degree, you've gone through your time in SVP, and they both have given you the tools to succeed, essentially. And it's about utilizing those tools to your advantage. So acknowledge that you can persevere, you can do the things that you're afraid of, and even when times are hard, you have the tools to problem solve. So that would be my send-off message. So yeah, good luck to everyone who's interested in applying for a master's. I hope you guys get into whatever school you want to go to.